Beautiful, beautiful poems. Let's see. Work and play. The swallow of summer, she toils all the summer, a blue dark knot of glittering voltage, a whiplash swimmer, a fish of the air. But the serpent of cars that crawls through the dust in shimmering exhaust, searching to slake its fever in ocean, will play and be idle, or else it will bust. The swallow of summer, the barbed harpoon, she flings from the furnace. A rainbow of purples dips her glow in the pond and is perfect. But the serpent of cars that collapse on the beach disgorges his organs, a scamper of colors, which rolls like tomatoes, nude as tomatoes, with sand in their creases, to cringe in the sparkle of rollers and screech. The swallow of summer, the seamstress of summer, she scissors the blue into ships and she sews it. She draws a long thread and she knots it at the corners. But the holiday people are laid out like wounded platters in ovens, roasting and bursting with faces of tormented space burns them blue. Their hairs are transisted, their teeth grit on sand grains, their lost kids are squalling, wild man eating flies, jab electric shock, needless, but what can they do? They can climb into the cars with raw bodies, raw faces, and start up the serpent and headache in homeward. A car full of squabbles and coughing and sticking heads with sand in their crannies, inhaling petroleum that pours from the foxgloves. While the evening swallow, the swallow of summer, cartwheeling through the crimson, touches the hands slow. River and turning returns to the hand straight from under the eaves, a boomerang of rejoicing shadow, conquering. How much grit do you think you have got? Can you grit a thing when you like a lot? You may talk of pluck. It's an easy word, and wherever you go, it is often heard. But can you tell a jot of guess just how much courage you now possess? You may stand in trouble and keep your grin, but have you titled self-discipline? Have you ever issued commands to you to quit the things that you like to do? And then when tempted and sorely sweat, those grit orders, those richest orders have you obeyed? Don't boast of your grit till you have tried to quit, nor prate to man of your courage as shroud, for it's easy enough to retain a grin. In the face of the fight, there is a chance to win, but the sort of grit that is good to own is the stuff you need when you are all alone. How much grit do you think you have got? Can you turn your joys that you like a lot? Have you ever tested yourself to know how far with yourself your will can go? If you want to know if you have grit, just pick out a joy that you like and quit. Is bullying in sports and it's open fine. It will keep the busy both day and night, and the toughest kind of a game you'll find is to make your body obey your mind, and you'll never know what is meant by grit unless it's something you are trying to quit according. Some carol of the banquet to its measuring, keeping time to boil or of fluid, some make old song. My battered accordion, you have worthy of a rhyme, you have been my friend and a comforter so long. Round half the world I've trotted you, and a dozen years or more you have given heaps of people lots of fun. You have set the host of happy feet to tapping on the floor. Alas, your dancing days are nearly gone. Nearly done, I have played you from the palm bed to the suburbs of the pole, from the silver-tipped Ceros to the sea, the gay and gilded cabin and the dreaming glory hole have echoed to your impish melody. I have hushed you in the dugout when the trench was as stiff with dead. I have lulled you by the correlate's lagoon. I have packed you on the camel from the dunge fire of the blade to the hell for breakfast mountain of the moon. I have ground you to the shanty man of whooping heel and toe, and the hula graces in the glade. I had swung you in a glove to the lousy quill and the house at 100 on the shed. The nigger of the levee and the drinker by the Nile have shuffled to you an insolent appeal. I have rocked with glee the chimpanzee and the market, the crocodile, and then shocked the pompous penguin and the seal. I have set the yonkin singing in a little suburb bar. Our horses swinging the bell in bar. I have played the oblique in the torn Tom's rubber dab and the throb of the Anderson guitar, and the horn of the hand roof and the cape of the Cummins roof from Vic to Vicarious and I to Spain. You have roped me with my kilt bag like a cocked tried and true. Old Paul, we'll never hit the trail again. Oh, I know. You're cheap and vulgar. You're an instrumental crime. In drawing rooms, you haven't got it show. You're musical abortion and you're the voice of the grit and kind. You are the spokesman of the lowly and the low. You're the domestic devil and the darling of the mob. You are the breezy blasted bit of clay. You are the headache of the high bow and the horror of the snob, but you are what you wait in the ruddy gold to me. You have cheated me in the weakness, you have cheated me in the defeat, you have been in the antidote. In hours of pain and vain, the slugging jaws of life have jarred me off my feet. You have wrapped me back into the bigger ring again. I'll never go to heaven, for I know I'm not fit the golden harps of harmony to swell, but with asbestos billows. If the devil will permit, I'll swing you to the fork-tailed ends of hell. Yes, I will rank you. I'll spank you and I'll everlasting yank you to the cinder-swinging satellites of hell. Dream song. Calmly while sat you friendless. Calmly while sat on friendliness and made noise delightfuller than he can really sing and steadily say, on hailing that the year had swung to pass and culminated in an abundant thing came his lady birthday. Dogs filled daylight doing each other ill. My own and love has loved so many blogs we had to have a fate. Comes unrepentant round the lustful mongrel again today, glaring at her bandages and cloths. His bark has grit. This is screen porch where my puppy suffers, and I swam. I hope with heartless love is now towards the close of the day. The scenes of a vision of friendless who withstand animal nature so far as to allow grace a while to stay. The ballad of how Bactrin hold the floor. Aha, la la la, so cute. Okay. Bridge over the Erie Brook. The Halicoon settled in the area of our days. Kingfisher's blue waves broke my heart in two. Shall I forget you? Shall I forget you? I am the mad poet first love. You never got over. You are my blue-eyed maiden of virgin pride. I shall crave empty love's beauty on the bark of every wind-bent tree in East End Park. The park itself will blossom, the grow and castle. The Victorian postcard view of avenue upon avenue with palms and pagodas, lakes and waterfalls in the fountain from versatiles. You should be my queen. In the kingdom of care, a land of many rivers, every the greatest is sure other strong one robbed in its stillness wide deep and dark. In Middletown woods, Margaret and I played truths of dare. She bared her breast to the watching stars. Milk, limited round the corner, chocolate spread, Nancy chatting at the tent of the vineyard. And touching her tears, her cunt, her bum, Margaret joined in chatting in unison. Their skipping ropes and faster, slapping the hot flame in Margaret's kept in rhythm, never missing a beat. Think the plate of her skirt whirling and twirling. Giggling and red, Margaret said in a whisper when we were playing at Nancy, she put a spill of paper up her, you know what. She said she would let you watch if you wanted. Margaret, the Saturday morning in June, there's a queue in the Princess for the matinee. Down the alley by the bank, concrete in the cinema side, I hide with you. We are counting our picture money. I'm counting the stars in your hair, bound with a cheap plastic comb. You have no idea of my need for you a lifetime long. Every wrong decision I made betrayed my need 40 years on. Hear my song and take my hand and move us to the house of love your people belong. Margaret, we sat in the cinema dark, warm with the promise of the secret kiss of all lights glowed amber on the crumbling plaster. We looked with longing and the love seats empty in the circle, knowing we would share one that is shouting and echoes of wild splashing from York Road bars 40 years on. It stirs in my memory and will not be gone. The ghost of the Tennessee light up dances to nowhere. It leads 10, every road leads nowhere, leads 9. Motorways have cut the city's heart into micro. Our home lies buried under 16 feet of stone. Our families moved and we were lost. I was not there to hear the whispered secret of our first period. God is courage infinite crown till it said, God give me enough to stand another week without her. Every day gets longer, every sleepless deep. Why can't I find you, touch you, bind you, straw gold hair and the color of the light February grass into the stone canopy of the grand arcade? I pass Europa nightclub in black designer glass. I watch the faces pass, but none is like yours, no voices, no eyes, no smile at all like yours. From Kirkshire log to limber crop to kitchen forcing shades, the roots blocked how I reached in bed of perfect darkness with the whispers, with a pip-rich pink stalks in the yellow leaves, hand picked by candlelight to keep your color right. Oh, very night, the rubber train could go from Leeds to Covent Garden. The smell of the Saturday morning, the smell of the freedom, how the bonds may grow slowly as I go ragboard, white doggy stone. Auntie Nellie Scott, her doorstep polish and brass knock her till I saw my face burnt like a piss, complete with goggles, grinning like a monkey in a mile of mirrors. Every doorstep had a stop or half stone iron weight to hold it back, and every step was edged with donkey, a stone in yellow or white. From the rackman to the portman with his covered card jingling as it choked hundreds of cups in the hawk's bend in the half-bent mugs and the stacks of the window pattern placed from permanent props. We heard him a mile off night in the summer when he bunted round the corner over the cobbles, jamming the wood brake, bamming the horses with the gleaming brasses, and the mams were always waiting where he stopped. Double summertime heat. The nights go on forever and no one cared anymore how long we played what, or where or what we were left alone, and with all I wanted then and now to be left alone, never to be called from the hallows, never to be called from Margaret, city of backs to backs, from Armley Heights laid out in rows like trees in the grass. I watched you pass. The eddy is slow and almost still in the bridge field. The Joshua Titley clock over the Aston Grimson print, it stopped at 1954, the year I left. Grimsey home was half a mile away in Kinsop Hall. Margaret and I climbed the ruined walls. Her hair was blowing in the wind. Her eyes were thrust in the green night. Her hands were holding my hands. Half the century later, I look out over the Leeds 9 with a little left and broken or changed Saturday night is silent and empty. The pass over the hallows deserted. The bell of the Hildas is still on a single blush. The yellow roses blush pink in the amber light. Night settles on the new fustons and the copper fields for no mother's voice is calling us. Lilac and velvet clover grew all over the walls. It was all the luck we knew, and when we left, our luck went to solid black, velvet sword, polished jade millstone grid, Leedston Hall. Built with it, soak up the fog, it's sealed with smog, battered and buttressed, black in plinth, white Leon's paws were soft, their smiles like yours. Narrow lanes, steep inclines, Estate black walls tied, the secret openings, the links are your hips, the inclines, the lines of your heights, of your thighs, the stretch your breast, black walls, the buttocks ties the secret openings of your taut with vaginal slips. There is a keening and the horning and the winnowing in the wind, and 'tis the surge and the flow, the wind wowed waters, the last breath of the element's king. I am Panda crossing the airy capping at kindling beck, conquered by Antwald, ruler of Dare. Life is a bird hovering in the hall of a king, between the darkness and the darkness flickering, the stone of scone at last lifted and borne on the wind, a giant day yet. Hold it hard and fast, its light is sleeping, its freedom touchstone and firestone, air. I'll still be there, you're watering, of course, old air, died air, dead eye, make no difference to me, Egoland is airy. True source names, not places matter. With the rising of a river and land by water, I'll make my own way free, going down the river to the far off sea. Poetry is my business, my affair, my cremator jonquil, my musher. Of musher and I'm letting Margaret open the door. I'm heaping in broless of the stars on the floor. Meet me at the office lock at the midnight or by the town hall clock. Nenny's 9 times have I knocked at the door of your grave, 9 times more. Have I made a pilgrimage over the empty wood where long I lay my pack and bag, waiting for your tongue to flame with Pentecostal fire. Margaret, you wrote in the hollow of my hand, in the harp of my heart, searching for you. I'm wanted like a Corgate Marcus midnight, down avenues of shuttered stalls of the secrets kept through all the years. For the imperil of the besieged hell, I watched the city spill glass towers of light over the horizons, the red fjords. Its straits are buckled plates, red bricks to aggregate, all lost like the Lechem and Letsen both belong to the leaves, but Letsen luck is where it leads. Held of the crown by 7th hands in Saxon times in Region Lloyd's, body skips, leads, you answer all my needs. A horseshoe stuffed for luck behind the basement window. Margaret now will see what truth there is in dreams and poetry. I am at one with everyone, and there is poetry falling from the air, and there you have put it there. The sign for John 8 on his street is planted in the back garden on the passport card between the strands of the wire mesh fence, straddling the cobbles of the street. There is no more a washing line and an abundant caravan. This open land to late is what you get on the handles, thousands of half-worn tires, the rusty barrels of the Dimson lorry, concrete slabs and forks, gloves and condoms, the go-kart arena signposts, half the wall of the LG Len school. There is Mohammed sinking on East Street and the IBM poster. Her head is like stir. Her breasts are facing the camera. Her tail is like, oh no, brush. Chimney stacks. Blind black walls of factories, grimy grass, flickering firelight, and black-leaded breads. Beautiful. A confidence. Uncle John, he make me tired. Think had he's just so all fired, smart, and the king pick up so everything he wants to know. Tired, tried to catch me up last night, but you bet I wouldn't not bite. I just kept on the smoothies whispered. I led him such a chase could not corner me. You bet I skipped all the traps he said, making out. He wanted to know who was this and that girl's view, so he's to find out, don't you see, who was going to belong with me, along with me. But the answer just as sly, and I'll never wink my eye. Tell her dollars, tell he hollers with a word, look here, ain't you got a girl? You ought to seen me spread my eyes like he had took me by surprise, and I, oh, Uncle John, never thought of having one, and somehow that seemed to tickle him, and he shelled out the nickel. Then he got to see me leave, just a laughing in my sleeve, fooled him. Well, I guess I did. He added on to his year, kid. Got a girl, well, I guess, yes. Got a dozen more or less, but I got 181. No, not no fooling, not no one, for I'm sweet on her ends, you see, and another guess that she must be kind of sweet on me. So we are keeping company on his engine. This is true. Every word I'm telling you, but you won't see such a cab. A cab easy to run around and blab. Maybe it ain't away with you, but you know some fellas do. Spoil a girl to let it know, and you talk about her. So, don't you know her? Her name is Liz. Nicest girl in the town. She is beauty. Get out and gilly. Let it hurt, but I know what you're silly. You ought to see her when she's dressed all up in the sunny bells. All the fellas nudging me and the visiting Jiminy. Betches life as I feel proud when she passes by the crowd. It is a kind of nice to be going with a girl that makes some showing. One, you know, and I know Snide makes you feel so satisfied, and I tell you she's a trump. Never even seen a jump like some silly girl and do when I would hide and hollaboo, and she would just lay on saying, get out, would you hollering about it? With some girl and chew the bed, then and don't sickering a bed. Never make a bit of a row. When she sees a woman of a crow, then kind of you for a bit vain. The snakes of the summer, the snakes of September. All summer I heard him rustling in the shrubbery or tracing me from tire to tire in my garden, a whisper among the viburnums, a signal flashing from the hedgerow, a shadow pulsing in the barberry thick air. Now that the nights are chill and the annals are spent, I should have brought them gone, and the trooper of the blood slipped to the nether world before the sickle frost. Not so. In the deceptive balm of noon, as if defiant of the curse that spoiled under the garden, these two appeared to show through the narrow slit. In the dense green brocade of the north country, spruce dangling head down, entwined in the present love knot, I put out my hand and stroked the fine dry grit of their skin. After all, we are partners in this land, co-signers of the covenant, and my touch, the wild bread of creation trembles. The law of Yukon. The song of the winter weather. It isn't the foe that we fear. It isn't the bullets that wind. It isn't the business career or the shell or the bust of the mind. It isn't the snippers who seek to nip our young hopes in the bud. No, it isn't the gun or it isn't the hands. It is the mud. It isn't the merit we mind. That often is rather good fun. It isn't the chocolate we find obtrusive when rent, but the one it isn't the bounce of the bombs that gives you positive strength. It is staffing. It's traffic wicked when the weather is bad. It is the rain. It is hint because we like it. We shrink from the horrors of the war. We don't mind the battle a bit. In fact, that is what we are for. It isn't the rum jar and the things make us wish we were back in the hole. The fingers in the praise. It is the boreal praise. It's cold. It is the rain or the wind. Oh, the rain, the mud, the cold mud and the rain. With weather at zero, it's hard for a hero from language that's rude to refrain. With porridgy, muck to the knees, with sky that is a pouring flood, sure the worst of our foes are the pains and the woes of rain, cold at the mine, gorgeous surfaces. There are surfaces gorgeous, a master pastry chef at work here, and the dips and the walls, the wrist twists, squeezes of cream from the tube of the tart wick, blinks, sugar rock, needle work toward the perfect plate dolly. Where sit the bone twine and teacups, a little miss of meaning, maybe in their arrangement, sneaky oblique shadow of elusives all piling atop one another, texture succulent but famished. Bandit bereft these surfaces, these flickering patinas, through which all you could drill out, hack or break the trap to ledge. If you could penetrate their surfaces, milky cataracts, you would drop free fall like a hope chest full of lead to nowhere, no place, a drive-in zone at a place, and you will keep dropping, tumbling slow motion over and over for 1 day, 6 days, 14 decades, 11 centuries. And in that time, not a leaf, nor rain, not a single dock, nor house, nor one human, nor sleep, nor presses, nor grace, falling to where the bottom finally is again the surface, which is quartz, of course, which is glue. So and thrown dust, which is blue-gray ice, which is the barely glinting grit of abyss, the trail of 98. Gold we left from our benches, gold we left from our benches, gold we sprang from our stools, gold we wheeled in the furrow, fired in the fat of fools, fearless and found unfitted, far from the night and the cold herd, wherein we, the Dadian summons, folded the mustard dew gold. Men from the sands of the sunland, men from the woods of the wells, men from the farms and the cities, into the Netherlands we pressed grey beards and striplings, and women, good men and bad men, and poor, leaving our homes and our loved ones crying exultantly gold. Never was seen such an army, pitiful, futile, unfit. Never was seen such a spirit, manifold courage and great. Never has been such a cohort under the one banner and roll as surge to the ravaged Arctic Urged by the arch tempter goal, farewell we cry to our bearers, to our dearest little we care for our dear tears. Farewell we cry to the hum drum and the yoke of the hailing years. Just like a pack of the schoolboys in the big crowd cheered us goodbye. Never were hearts so uplifted, never were hopes so high. The spectre showed flitted past us, and every one of the crew hurled us nearer to the fortune. And ever we planned what we would do with the gold that we have gotten. Big shiny nuggets like plums, there is in the sand of the river, gorgling in out with our thumbs. And one man wanted to a castle, another a racing style, a third would cruise in a palace we had with a red naked prince of blood. And so we dreamed and we wanted believers to add leaping to wealth in our visions long ere the trail began. We landed in windswept sky away. We joined the melting moss clambering over their outfits, waiting to climb past. We tightened our girths and our packed straps. We linked on the human chain, struggling up to the summit where every step was pain. Gone was the joy of our faces grim and the haggard and pale. The heatless mirth in the ship road was changed to the care of the trail. We flung ourselves in the struggle, packed our grub and relays step by step to the summit in the well of the winter days. Floundering deep in the some hole, stumbling out again, crying with cold and weakness, crazy with fear and pain. Then from the depths of our trail, our spirits were broke, grim, tenacious and savage, the lust for the trail of both. Claw-like and bust rang the slogan, every man of for his own, and how we flogged the horses, stacked and skinned one, and how we cursed the weakness and anguish they could not tell, breaking their hearts in our backs and lashing them on till they fell. For grub meant gold to our thinking, and all that could walk must pack, and sheep for the shambles stumble, each with a load on his back, and even the swine were burdened, and the grunted and squealed and trolled and went back in the moment of huskily clambering going. And we were bruised and the devils goaded with lust and fear. Our eyes were sent to the summit and we dropped to the rear, falling in heaps by the trail side, her heart broken, limp and went, but the gaps closed up in an instant, and heedless the chain went on. Never will I forget it there on the mountain face, and like men with their burdens clinging to an icy space, dog determined and dauntless, cruel and callous and cold, cursing, blaspheming, reviling, and ever that battle cry gold. They thus toiled me the army of fortune in hunger and hope and despair, until glacier, mountain, and forest vanished and red indeed where they were at our feet lay Lake Bennett, and down to his welcome we ran. The trail of the land was over, the trail of the water began. We built our boats and we launched them. Never has been such a fleet of packing phrase for a bottom, metaphor for a shield. Shapeless, grotesque, leprous, flimsy, makeshift and crew. Each man after his fashion built it as best as could. Each man walked with them, and as broad the paddle we raised, the wind of the will cried, hurry, the voice of the waters as we hated those driving before us. We dreaded those pressing behind, because the slow current that bore us, we prayed to the God of the pen. Spring and hillsides flourished, vivid in jewel green spring, and our hearts blood nourished, and we unhindered in spring. Little cared we for the spring burst, much care we got on the stake in the great wide channel, stake ere the best we gone. The greed of the gold possessed us, pity and love were for God covetous. Visions obsessed us, brother with brother fought. Partner with partner wrangle, each one claiming his due, wrangle in half, their outfits sawing their boats in two. Thus wise we voyaged Lake Bennett, Takish, then windy arm, sinister, savage, and baleful, boarding us hate and harm. Many a score was shattered there on the Titan shore. Many a heart was broken, straining and sweeping o'er. We rose Lake Marsh with a chorus. We drifted many a mile. There was a canyon before us, cave like its dark we find. The shore swept faster and faster. The river never tracked water. What there as disaster reared up right in our path. Beneath us the green tumult joining, above us the cavernous gloom, around us swift twisting and turning, the black silent walls of the town. We spun like a chip in a mill race. Our hearts hammering under the chest, then the relief of the east shell. We so we soared into the sunlight and the hands sought. Hands sought for the hand on an instant, cried, we our troubles are over. Then, like the rumble of the thunder, here the we a cankerous road, leaping and boiling, seething, saw we a quadrant of fume. There was the rage of the rapids, there was the menace of the doom, the river spring like a racer sweeps through the gash in the rock, but at the boulder ribbed bottom staggers and presses, chalk leaps out the terrified monster in his fury and pain, then with the crash of the demon springs on the onset again. Dead we that the ravening terror heard with a still in our ears call on the cause of our fathers jiggled, forlorn with our fears, sank to our face in his fury, tossed into the sky like a fleece, then waned our dread, was the greatest crash into safety and peace. But what of the others that followed, losing the woods by the score? Well, could we see them and hear them in strong town, that desolate shore? What of the poor souls that perish? Little of them shall be said. On to the golden valley, pause not to bury the dead. Then there were the days of the drifting breeze, soft as the sigh. Night trailed her robe of jewels over the floor of the sky. The moonlit stream was a python, silver, sinuous, vast, that writhed on a shroud of velvet while it was done at last. There were the tints of dancing, there were the sky of the sly, softly we pulled over the shadows, swiftly leapt over the side. Fires fringed the mouth of the bonnet, Susan said, gilded the dome. The test of the tread was over, thank God, we were home. The never country. Be home, said hut, the sharing shade by road coach and tram, by lonely grace of the brave, ordained by up country, out back, to where beneath the glorious the clustered sky, the dreamy plains expand, the homes lies wide 1,000 miles in the never land. It lies beyond the forming bed, wide west, soft scrub and plain, a blessing desert in the drought. A lake land after rain in the skyline, sweeps of the waving grass on worlds of the scorching sand, a phantom land, a mystic land, and never land. We are lone, Mount Desolation lies, Mount Dreadful in despair, it is lost beneath the redless skies and hopelessness is there, it spreads not. West by no man's land, we are clouds that seldom seen to where the cattle station lie 300 miles between. The drovers of the great stock roads, their strength of country and home, we are traveling from the southern drawn, the big lane bullocks go, the camp by night, where plains lie wide, like some old ocean bed, the watchman in the straight high drawn 1,500 head, the west of the night and the numbered days, the sheriffs walk in the right, Jack comes in and the never do well, and the grey beard side by side, they wheel their eyes from moon and stars and slumber on the sand, sad memories steep as years go round, it never land. By lonely hut northwest of Bork, through years of flood and drought, the best of the English black sheep work their own salvation out. While fresh west boys grown gaunt and brown, stiff-lipped and haggard eyes, they live the dead past grimly down. We are born treat right is right. The college rat who sank beneath, then rose above his shame, tramps western mateship with a man who cannot write his name. It is there weird on the barren track, no last half caused big grudge. We are saint and sinner side by side, judged not and are not judged. Oh, rebels to society, the outcasts of the west, the hopeless eyes that smile for me, the broken hearts that tears, the pluck to face 1,000 miles, are great to see it through the communion perfected, and I am proud of you, the Arab of the true distance and the fin of the fields of snow. The flock sticks turn to married land, while the seasons come and go. And this old fact comes home to me and will not let me rest, however barren it may be. Your own land is the best. The lest it is I should forget, true mateship after all, my water bag and Billy yet are hanging on the wall, and if my face should show the signs, I would tramp to sunsets grand, with God and stern eyes, mates of mine in the never land, my land and I. Wow. Then the wreck. Wow. Tall and stout and solid looking, yet a wreck, none would think death's finger hooking him from deck. Cause of half the fun that started Harkis Dan isn't like a broken-hearted ruined man. Walking coat from tail to throat is frayed and green like a man whose other coat is being cleaned, gone forever round the edging, past repair, waistcoat pockets frayed with dredging, after sprats no longer there, wearing summer boots in June or slippers worn and old, like a man whose other shoes are getting sold. Pants, they are far from being recent, but perhaps I would better not say they are the only decent pair he's got, and his hat, I'm afraid, is troubling him past all lifting off to the ladies by the brim. But although he's hardly strike a girl would dance, yet he wears his wreckage like a gentleman. Once, no matter how dressed up and down, was to say he was the best dressed man in town. Must have been before I knew him. Now you would scarcely care to meet, but and he noticed talking to him in the street, drinking the cause anticipation that is clear, maybe friend or kind relation, cause of beer. And the talking fool who never reads or things says from hearsay, yes, he's clever, but he drinks. When an actor and writer doesn't whine, Raconte, now the best reciter in his line, takes the stage at times and fills the princesses May and we are low, raises knee, he first line, kills it, they bring them to. Where he lives a hoy and where who no one knows, lost his real friends and therefore lost his fools. Had no doubt his own romances made his fair tortured and doubtless by the chances and the luck that comes to lay. Now and then his boots are polished, collared clean, and the worst grey stains were abolished by ammonia and beside hints of some attempts to show him from the taps of or of someone left to love him, sister perhaps. After all, he's a grafter. Earns his jail, keeps the room in rows of laughter when he gets outside the beer. Yawns that would fall flat from others, he can tell how he spent his stuff, my brothers, you know well. Manners was a man in mind of old clubballs and evening dress, ugly but a handsome kind of ugliness. One of those we say is often, while housewives stand sadly by the coffin, he looks well. Maybe she goes at humor bad as Dan, but we may not have the humor of the man, nor the sight well seen in blindness as the general public do, and the love of the human kindness, or the grit to see it through, the quitter. When you're lost and wild, and you have scared as a child, and death looks you bang in the eye, and you are scored as a boil, and it's according to Hoyle to cock your revolver and die, but the code of the man says fight all you can, and self-dissolution is barred. In hunger and woe, it's easy to blow. It's the health up for breakfast that's hard. You're sick in the game. Well, now that's a shame. You're young, you're brave, and you're bright. You have had a roti like home, but don't squeal, buck off, don't do your damnedest and fine. It's the plugging away that will win you the day, so don't be a pike or a old part. Just draw on your grit. It's so easy to quit. It is the keeping your chin up that's hard. It's easy to cry that you're beaten and tired. It's easy to crawfish and crawl, but to fight and to fight when hope's out of sight, why, that's the best game of them all. And though you come out of each grueling bout all broken and beaten and scarred, just have one more try. It's that easy to die. It is the keeping on living that's hard. The captain of the bush. As the night was falling slowly down on city, town and bush, from a slum in Jones Alley, he slopped the captain of the bush, and he's called towards the north, and he's called towards the south, and he hooked his little finger in the corners of his mouth. Then his whistle, loud and shrill, woke the echoes of the rocks, and litters and cows came slopping round the corners of the blocks. There was not to rouse his anger, yet the oath that each one's soul seemed less fit for publication than the one that went before. For they spoke the gutter language with the easy flow that comes only to the man whose childhood knew the brothels and the slums. And then they spat in tongues and halted, and the one that came behind, spitting fiercely on the pavement, called on heaven to strike him blind. Let us first describe the captain, broad-shouldered, pale and thin, for he was a vigil of Sydney Larkin. Even his hat was most suggestive of the city where we live, with the gallows tilt that no one save a laughing can care find the good. A little shorter than the writer could with desire, showed a more or less uncertain portion of his strange attire. That was little is known to as trouser, known by him as blooming bags, hanging loosely from his person, swept in tattered ends and flags. And he had appointed stunt pose to the booths that peeped below, which he laced from the center of the nail of his great toe, and he wore his shirt and uncollared and the tie correctly wrong, but I think his vest was shorter than it should be in one so long. All the captain crooked his finger as he strained on the cup, whom he qualified politely with an adjective and verb, and he begged the glory bleeders that they wouldn't interrupt till he gave an introduction. It was mentally abrupt. Here's the bleeding push me coving. Here's something from the bush. Strike me that he wants to join us, said the captain of the boat. Said the stranger, I'm nothing but the bushy and the gins, but I read from out the bleeders, the weakling as by puns, sitting lonely in the humpy. When the wind began to whoosh, how I longed to share the dangers and the pleasures of the bush. Gosh, I hate the sweats and the good uns. I could burn them to dead bears. I am with you if you will have me, and I'll break your blazing hairs. Now look here, exclaimed the captain to the stranger from the bush. Now look here, suppose a fellow who was so split upon the bush. Would you lay for him and fetch him, even if the traps were round? Would you lay him out and kick him to a jelly on the ground? Would you jump upon the nameless killed or cripple him or both? Speak, or else I'll speak. The stranger answered my Caronian oath. Now look here, exclaimed the captain to the stranger from the bush. Now look here, suppose the bleeders let you come in and join the bush. Would you smash a bleeding bobby? If you got a black alone, would you bleak a swell or kinky splint his garret with a stone? Would you have a mole to keep yet like the swear of work good? Yeah, my oath, replied the stranger, my Caronial oath I burn. Now look here, exclaimed the captain to the stranger from the bush. Now look here, before the blazes let you come and join the bush. You must prove that you are the blessed. You must prove that you have grit worthy of the gaudy blader. You must show your form a bed. Take a rock and smash that window, and the stranger, nothing loth, look the rock and smash that only muttered my Caronian oath. So they saw him in and found him sure to be amen light of hell, and his only fault, if any, lay in his excessive zeal. He was good as throbbing metal, but we chronicle with pain that he jumped upon the victim, damaging the watch and chain. The bleeders had secured him, yet the captain of the bush swore a dozen oaths in favor of the stranger from the bush. Late next morn, the captain, rising and hoarse and thirsty from his lead, called the newly feathered bleeder. But the stranger wasn't there. Quickly going through the pockets of his blooming bags, he learned that the stranger had been through him for the stuff his small had earned, and the language that he muttered I would scarcely like to tell. Stars and notes of exclamation, blank and dash will do all as well. In the night of the captain's signal woke the echoes of the rocks, brought the glory bleeders slopping through the shadows of the blocks, and they bought the stranger's action with the blood escaping shame while they waited for the nameless, but the nameless never came, and the bleeders soon forgot him. But the captain of the bush is laying ground in palace for the nameless from the bush that dwell. Aha. Wow. Beautiful. Wow. It's nice, right? What makes NPD different from any other personality disorder is that your anger and impulsiveness, acting out, kicking over a chair, only happens when you're dealing with people you really love. If it isn't somebody you don't care about, who cares? I want more than anything in the world to be just a regular person, to be average. It's so exhausting to fight yourself so hard every day. Some days it's easier than others, but I got so worn out. I go through swings of crushingly painful, amplified emotions and numbness, both of which constantly make me suicidal. I know people can't handle this, but I can fight in them anyway and end up getting hurt repeatedly. I I think part of me is just holding on for that hope of someday attaining a small piece of normalcy. With BPT, my emotions are 10x amplified with an average person. When I'm mad, sad, hurt, happy, and emotional regulation of 10x more amplified. Both a blessing and a curse to feel so deeply. It's like living in your own personal self-made hell that you can't escape from. It trips you up on a good day and will make you question your sanity daily. You feel like an attention-seeking brat when you reach out for help because you look normal from the outside. It's a lot like being inside the burning building and yelling for help while the wireman also says, "What are you upset about? Just climb over the rubble and come on top." It is as if my life were magically run by two electric currents. Joy is positive and despairing negative, whichever is running at the moment dominates my life, floods it. Knowing that eventually you'll push everyone away and you'll be alone and tough to deal with. It's exhausting never knowing who you really are. Every day you have to put on a face and you are never sure if any part of you will ever really be okay. Quotes on from loved ones. My girlfriend and BPG is a very difficult relationship. Bipolar disorder. I loved her to death, and all I wanted to do was to have a healthy relationship. Realized the more I tried to help and save her, the worse things became. It was so painful for me to sit by her while she harmed herself in so many ways. It broke me. My son had BPT and it nearly killed me. I know he's hurting inside, and it's God not the only one that is hurting because if of his BPT is destroyed over family. My sister suffered a lot with her own overcome, but she overcome BPD and I admire and love her for it. Goes from therapist, the role of therapist to reflect for being according self, accepting self that was never allowed to be in the borderline. To stave off the panic associated with the absence of primary object, borderline patient frequently will impulsively engage in behaviors that numb the panic and establish contact with the control over some new object. People with BPT tend to judge themselves and others in extreme ways. They will often use excessively positive terms, idealizing or glorifying excessively negative terms, demonizing, devaluing themselves or others. They look at themselves with harsh, critical, negative self-judgments and increase their sense of shame. Quotes for hope. Sometimes we climb out of bed in the morning and you think, "I'm not going to make it," but you laugh inside, remembering all the times you have felt that way. I feel everything all the time. It's exhausting, but it also makes me passionate, which is beautiful. You're not your illness. You have an individual story to tell. You have a name, a history, a personality. Sing yourself in part of the battle. Life is like a piano. The white keys represent happiness and the black shows sadness. But as you go through life's journey, remember that the black keys also create music. Your journey has molded you to the greater good, and it was exactly what it needed to be. Don't think that you have lost time and took each and every situation you have encountered to bring you to the now, and now is the right time. Sometimes being different feels a lot like being alone. But with that being said, being true to that and being true to my standards and my way of doing things, it's my art and my music, everything that has made me feel very different at the end. It has made me the happiest. It was really hard for many, many years, but I have learned to grow with the way I was born with. Having BPT, I love myself now, and because I have been through so much that I can also help so much. Borderline personality disorder is a very difficult condition for the sufferer and of those in their lives. However, while putting together these goals and experiences, it's amazing to see people coming together, wanting to help each other improve on another's quality of life. It's easy for people to vilify each other, but it's obvious how much we want to support and help each other. If you believe you are someone who may have BPT, borderline personality disorder, you can take this shot. It is so good at the beginnings, but in the end, I always seem to destroy everything, including myself. People with BPT are like people with third-degree burns. Over 90% of their body is lacking emotional skin. They feel agony in the slightest touch of movement. I couldn't trust my own emotion. Which emotions, reactions were justified, if any, and which ones were tainted by the mental illness of BPT? I found myself fiercely guarding and limiting my emotional reactions, judging myself for possible distortions and motivations. People who had known me years ago would barely recognize me now. I had become quiet and withdrawn in social settings and the longer the life of the party. Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hey, we would like to do the no, not okay. Let's see. Proverbs of the world. This was great, right? We loved it. Absolutely. Very, very good. Acting deals with very delicate emotion. Is not putting up a mask. If each time an actor acts, he does not hide, he exposes himself. Acting is magical change your look and your attitude, and you can be anyone. Acting is the least mysterious of all crafts. Whenever we want something from somebody, or when we want to hide something or pretend we are acting, most people do it all day long. Acting is all about honesty. If you can fake that, you have got it made. The art of acting consists in keeping people from coughing. Acting is about this profession. If you can spend enough time playing with other people, you don't have to think too much about your own character and motivations. Acting is the expression of the neurotic impulse. It's a bum life quitting acting. That's a sign of maturity. Acting is a nice childish profession, pretending you have someone else and at the same time selling yourself. People acting in their own self-interest is the fuel for all the discovery, innovation, and prosperity that prospers the world. Acting is not about being famous, it's about exploring human soul. Acting is like a Halloween mask that you put on. Acting is always challenging. Film acting is one of the only industries where you are criticized for working hard. If in any other industry is considered a quality and something to behold, acting is a question of absorbing other people's personalities and adding some of your own experiences. Great acting is not easy. Anyone who says it's either shallow or charlatan. One of the hardest things about acting is admitting that it is hard. Acting is half shame, half glory. Shame at exhibiting yourself, and glory when you can forget yourself. Acting is not being emotional, but being able to fully express emotion. Acting is a spiritual quest to touch human beings. Acting provides the fulfillment of never being fulfilled. You are never as good as you would like to be, so there is always something to hope for. Acting is nothing more or less than playing ideas to humanize life. Acting is happy agony. Acting is sport. On stage, we must be ready to move like a tennis player on his toes. Your concentration must be keen, your reflexes sharp, your body and mind are in top gear. The gist on acting is energy. It's a theater people pay to see energy. Acting doesn't bring anything to a text. It is, on the contrary, detracts from it. Acting is a matter of giving away secrets. Acting is not about dressing up. Acting is about stripping bare. The whole essence of learning lines is to forget them so you can make them sound like you thought of them. That instance, I really think that effective acting has to do literally with the movement of molecules. I must say that acting was good training for a political life that lay ahead of us. Acting is standing up naked and turning around very slowly. Acting is not about being someone different. It's finding the similarity in what is apparently different, then finding myself in there. As always, with acting, you can't be too self-conscious. You shouldn't care about what people are thinking about you at the time, because they are not caring about you. They are caring about your character. The hand ready to hit may cause you with great trouble. Passion rides a mad horse. A man in a passion rides a mad horse. A quarrelsome man has no good neighbors. Anger is short madness. Anger is often more hurtful than the injury that caused it. Anger is one little short of danger. Clouds gather before a storm. Don't get your back up. Exaggeration is truth that has lost its temper. Fire in the heart sends smoke into the head. Heart was break no bones. If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will skip 100 days of sorrow. If you pick a stone in anger, you will hurt your foot. Postpone today's anger until tomorrow. Red sky at night, shapers delight. Red sky in the morning, shapers take warning. Anger of the prudent never shows. The greatest remedy of anger is delay. If a small thing has the power to make you angry, does that not indicate something about your size? He who angers you conquers you. Anger, ventilated, often hurries toward forgiveness, and concealed often hardens into revenge. Where there is anger, there has always been the need. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Bitterness is like cancer. It eats up the host, but anger is like fire. It burns it all clean. You speak when you are angry, and you will make the best speech you ever regret. It's wise to direct your anger towards problems, not people, to focus your energies on answers, not excuses. Never respond to an angry person with a very compassionate, even if he deserves it. Don't allow his anger to become your anger. Learn from this from me. Holding anger is the poison. It eats you from inside. You think that hating is a weapon that attacks the person who harmed us, but hatred is the blame and the harm we do to ourselves. Anger is never without a reason, but seldom without a good one. A quick temper will make a fool of you soon enough. You can't shake hands with a clenched fist. Beautiful. Very, very good. Kurdish proverbs. We love proverbs, right? Amazing. Oh my God. Truly pretty. Ask a silly question and you get a silly answer. Ask and you shall receive. Ask God for what man can give and you may get it. Ask me no question, I'll tell you no lies. Ask no question and hear no lies. At the end of the gate, the king and the pawn go in the same path. Attack is the best form of defense. Barking dogs seldom bite. Best terms are bellows. To a slackening fire. Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it. Be just before you are generous. Be not deceived with the first appearance of the things. For show is not substance. Beauty and honesty seldom agree. Beauty draws more than oxen. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is only stingy, but ugly goes straight to the bone. Beauty is only stingy. Beauty may have fair leaves, yet bitter fruit. Beauty may open doors.